Hey everyone, this is smpratte, and today we're going to talk about shining Pokemon cards. Shining cards are a staple part of this hobby. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner or a seasoned collector, shining cards are something that you want in your possession. In this video, I'm going to tell you why that is by talking about the history. I'll break down the notable cards, talk about price point, rarity, gradability, things of that nature. Then later on, I'm going to give you a close-up view of the actual cards themselves. So, beginning with history, the shining Pokemon cards are first released in Japan 2000 and in the US 2001. The first set to feature shining cards was Neo Revelation. Neo Revelation had two shining Pokemon cards, Shining Magikarp and Shining Gyarados, which I have behind me. So for those who aren't aware, shining Pokemon are a significantly rarer variant of the normal Pokemon. So normally Magikarp is red, the shining variant is gold. For Gyarados, normally it's blue, the shining variant is red. So in the video game, I believe the probability of encountering a shining Pokemon was 1 in 1800 and some change. And they tried to echo that same rarity concept for the TCG. However, of course, they couldn't take 1 in 1800 packs for TCG because that'd be infuriating. So I believe the range for English is 1 in 72 packs or 1 in 108 packs. That was the pull rate for a shining card. And then for Japanese, it's been rumored 1 in 300 packs. Regardless if those numbers are ironclad, the reality of pulling these cards is drastically lower than any other card in the set. And any other card from previous sets, even first edition base or jungle or fossil, those original sets. These cards were significantly more difficult to find in a pack. So if you're going the sealed route, go in the sealed product route, you want to open up some packs, the probability you're going to pull a shining card is exponentially lower than anything else out there for that era. So, I've even, to expand on that point, I've seen people who broke a Neo Revelation box or Neo Destiny box, and they spent thousands of dollars on those boxes and didn't pull a shining. So that's the reality with shining cards. It's not guaranteed in every box. So sheer rarity is a big reason, probably one of the biggest components on why these cards are so collectible. First cards that have that extremely low or limited pull rate. Also, they're the first cards to feature this embossed holographic pattern. This was not featured until later on down the road when we started getting full art. So today, like the full art cards that we're accustomed to, they have that nice textured artwork to it, or that nice textured feel. These were the first cards to feature that type of holographic, or that type of pattern. And also, these are the first cards to feature a triple star rarity. I don't think the triple star rarity was used for anything else outside of the shining Pokemon cards. In total, there's only 10 species of shining cards. So you have the 2 from Neo Revelations, and then you have 8 from Neo Destiny. I'm probably going to talk about Neo Destiny in a separate video because it's a very historic set. One of the big reasons why is because it featured 8 shining Pokemon. Of course, one of those is Shining Charizard. I would say, by and large, Shining Charizard is going to be your most notable card. I would take a step back, though, and say, if you talk about notable cards, all Shining cards are notable because they're just so freaking rare. They also are very unique because there's only 10 species with this unique embossed holographic pattern outside of Gyarados. So since there's only 10 of them, you have a lot of collectors or buyers funneling into only those 10 species. This isn't something that continued on down the road. There was only 10 of them. So not only do you have this ridiculously low pull rate, you only have 10 species, so you have a very limited amount of quantity out there to supply the demand. So the notable cards, I would say all of them across the board. Charizard, of course, is always going to rear its head above all other Pokemon. It's the Gretzky of the hobby, or the Michael Jordan of the hobby. So Shining Charizard usually realizes a higher price tag. However, there are some unexpected exceptions. So like Shining Raichu in Japanese PSA 10 was earning a premium a few months ago. Probably still does to an extent because it had a low pop. So population report for Shining Raichu was very low. Therefore, a lot of people wanted to complete their sets. So that was one that was really hitting a high price tag. The bottom line is, at the end of the day, because of the limited quantity, because it was the first cards with the triple star rarity, they have so much historic aspect behind it. Plus, the artwork is desirable. Basically, if you just bundle all this together, it's why they're still one of the most staple items today. So, with that said, I'm going to give you a close-up view of the actual cards. and I'll try to give you a very good look at the artwork I was telling you about. So for the Neo Revelation set, the holographic pattern was the normal holographic pattern. Of course, in Pokemon, there's always an exception to everything. There is a Japanese fan club Magikarp, and you can see this one. The Magikarp itself has that nice textured holographic pattern where the background is non-holographic, and you can see the contrast between the Neo Revelation set over here to the right. This is what was released in Neo Revelations. I think by and large most people prefer the one on the left with the textured artwork. Also, the one on the left was a fan club promo. It's very rare. It's even more rare than the Shining cards themselves from packs. So this card, you had to be Japanese citizen, you had to be a part of the fan club, you had to earn 600 points, which was not easy. And if you did earn 600 points, you would redeem them and they would give you this card. Also, the other physical difference is this card does not feature a rarity symbol on the bottom, where the Neo Revelation has the standard triple star rarity. And then I have the rest of the Shining Pokemon to my right. And as I mentioned before, there's 10 species. So you got Celebi, Tyranitar, Steelix, Noctowl, Mewtwo, Kabutops, Raichu, Charizard, Gyarados, and then Magikarp. I would say if you had to say the first Shining card, it'd probably be Magikarp. Magikarp's a very notable Shining Pokemon, regardless if it's TCG, video game, anime. It just pops out because of that gold color. So yeah, this is pretty much the timeline here of Shining cards. And you could see Neo Destiny had these 8, had from Charizard all the way down to Celebi. And then, yeah, the other aspect is this is the alternate coloring. So there you got Gyarados, who's red instead of blue. And this is a fantastic artwork here. Classic Sugimori artwork. And then Charizard is normally black. This one's kind of got a purple hue to it at a certain angle. But basically every Pokemon, of course, is going to be the Shining variant. Some are less dramatic as others. Where like Raichu, not much of a color difference there, so he's making up for it by doing the dab. But most of these, they don't have that dramatic change like Magikarp does or Gyarados. But it's subtle. Some of them have a subtle, like Mewtwo is green, which you can't really see in the texture there, but in the Gold Star, of course, it's highlighted well. Actually, remember, I pulled a Shining Noctowl in 2002. I wasn't collecting as seriously as I am now, and I remember I bought 2 packs just off the cuff of Neo Destiny. And I pulled a Shining Noctowl card, and I was like, what the hell is this Shining Noctowl? Because I thought it had 60 HP, 30 attack with 3 energy, and 3 different types of energy. I was like, this card is just straight butt. And I was like, why? Why is this something that's rare? And I didn't realize how rare it was. I was like, why is it holographic at the time? But I had no idea what Shining Pokemon were. Little did I know that I did all right. But yeah, Shining cards are very exciting when you do pull them from a pack because it's something you can't even expect. So I know I keep beating a dead horse about rarity, but I do a lot of openings, you know, from some old sets as well. And Shining cards are just something you cannot count on. You can, if, for example, right now, if you go and buy an old WotC box, you know, pick your set, say Jungle, Fossil, whatever it may be, you get one of those old boxes, you can expect to get pretty much majority of the holographic species. Or with Shining cards, you can't even expect to get one of them in a box. So when you find one and you're aware of what it is and you're aware of its rarity, it's definitely a good feeling. And then the only other difference I could show you really is, so here's an English, let me pull it back there. So this is the English Shining Charizard card. For me, I prefer, I like the English. This is probably where I taper off with a lot of the English sets when they started changing to the E series. But I really like the Japanese more. I like the gold border for a lot of the old back Japanese cards. I think it's more subtle. I think it emphasizes the artwork, where the yellow is more, it takes away, in my opinion, from some of the newer cards. But for me, the old WotC cards with the red writing for the HP, I'm more partial to those. I don't know if it's something, we're just talking inertia here, nostalgia, but at the end of the day, I ultimately prefer the Japanese a little bit more than the English. However, I still value them, if that makes sense. It's just Japanese I favor a little bit more than I do English. And in regards to gradability, for those who aren't aware, English is typically much more difficult to earn a 10 than Japanese. However, with shining cards, Japanese are very, very difficult. They are not easy. As I mentioned with Raichu, Raichu is one. Here's the PSA 10. The PSA 10 version of Raichu was earning high hundreds because so many people needed this card to complete their PSA 10 set, and it's not an easy grade. It has a bit of centering issue. You can see that left border's a little slim. Also, the thing to look for a lot of shining Japanese cards is the front whitening. So normally we go to the back to check that blue back whitening, but for a lot of shining cards, there's front whitening as well. So a lot of these probably have pristine backs, but that front whitening is going to keep it at a 9. So not an easy grade, very rare, unique artwork, only 10 species, ton of history behind it. So many little unique nuances, in relation to echoing the idea of shining Pokemon from the game and translating it to the TCG, triple star rarity. There's just so much here in shining cards. I mean, it's apparently obvious that these are very safe purchases. They have always been staple items from the beginning. 10 years ago, they were staple when the market was small. Today, they're still staple collectibles. So it's a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. So there you have it. Those are shining Pokemon cards. If you have any questions, let me know. Till next time.